Hey guys, it's Presley with Ash Events, and we're here with Melissa for round 2 of our questions that are tailored specifically to our couples. So I'm going to start with our first question. Melissa, when a couple comes to you looking for something deeply personal, where do you usually begin the design process?
So I usually actually start with a Pinterest board. I'm like, do you have a Pinterest board? Because
Real.
if you do, which most girls have been saving rings for a lot of years, then and you are like, I don't know, I love it all. There's so many beautiful things. If I can see your Pinterest board, it takes me about 5 minutes to look through it. I'm like, oh, you want an oval with 4 claw prongs and you want a pave diamond band and a martini setting. I'm like, got you. And they're like, what? How did you do that? I'm like, well, because I can just literally see the thread that moves through all of it, even when they can't. So that's usually where we start. If they're just kind of like, I don't even know what to do. I love everything. I have no idea what I want. Then we start there. However, most people have a pretty good idea when they come for a custom built piece is that they know what they want. They just want different elements and they want to kind of move them and put them together into the design. So we usually start with sketches, or we start with kind of, it depends. Sometimes we'll start from a diamond if they have a diamond that they really love, or a sapphire or a gemstone, then we'll kind of design backwards out of that. Or if they have a design, then we need to fill it with a stone. We kind of can go either way.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned the Pinterest boards, because that's something that we actually do for every single one of our clients. Is we give them their own Pinterest board.
Right.
So
it's so helpful.
It's
it's very helpful for everyone, the creator and the person that's having, this created for them, because then you can kind of, I think a lot of people don't have the right language to say and what they actually want, but when you can see a visual, like, oh yeah, now I understand what you're saying, because they don't really know the language of the trade or the things to really ask for. So it's really helpful to have a visual reference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many brides today are drawn to pieces that feel timeless rather than trendy. How do you design wedding jewelry that feels modern and heirloom worthy?
That is how I kind of see my design. I really love the traditional kind of solitaire because I feel like it's timeless, but with a twist. So I like to put a little artisan touch on it, so it gives it that uniqueness, but it still will stand the test of time. I don't do a lot of the trendy styles with engagement rings. I think that because it's something that you want to stand the test of time and you don't want to be like tired of it in 10 years. I think that one of the great ways that you can kind of maybe bring in kind of a trendier kind of element would be in your stacking rings or how you're layering it. But for your engagement ring, I think that I love the tension between traditional and artisan. So I kind of like to bring both of those elements into the pieces that I designed simply for that reason, because I don't want them to just look at it and be like, like anybody that brings me a piece of jewelry or a ring from the 80s, I'm like, oh, that was an 80s ring from your mom or your grandma. Like, check, they all look the same, like exactly the same. And so I think that, having something like that can kind of really date your piece, and it can date it pretty quickly, so that when it has more of that traditional, but with a little bit of an artisan flair, then it'll stand the test of time and it won't kind of wear in a dated way, in a decade or two.
So I feel like a very trendy ring right now, and I feel like I'm going to butcher this. It's the 2 stones with it. The
Trois.
Do you think that's going to be timeless, or do you think it's going to fade in the trendy era?
So that one has been around for more than 100 years. It's a French design, which is where the word comes from. So this is sort of like an antique idea of it means you and me. So it's a really sentimental way to bring in stones. We use this a lot for like our heirloom redesign. So we'll bring in, like, if you have a few stones from different people, it's a really beautiful way to kind of merge them together. A lot of people do them for anniversary pieces. So I don't think that it's going to necessarily go out of style. I think that is something that has been around for a very, very long time. It's just resurfaced. It's kind of,
I've never known.
Right.
I love that. I feel like Ariana Grande kind of brought that back.
Yeah, she did. I mean, it's amazing, like the influence between the celebrity stuff, like how many people we had coming and asking for cushion cut diamonds within the last 2 months from the Taylor Swift kind of phenomenon. So yeah, it's a thing for sure. People are highly influenced by what they see on celebrities or online or, but it's good, I think, in a way for the indie jewelry designers, because it's sort of put us on the map in a way where people want something that's more unique and not necessarily like something that everyone else has that they're going to get from the mall jewelry store, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For couples considering custom jewelry, what are some details about their story or relationship that are most helpful for you to know?
I think necessary. I love hearing the stories. Like, I think that that's just super sweet, and it is, it's beautiful, and people love to share their stories. And I like to kind of like have that in the back of my mind when I'm creating. I think what is sort of more even important than that is like personal aesthetic and design style. And so, you know, especially if I have a guy coming that is coming to design a surprise ring, I'm like, and he doesn't really know. And I'm like, well, describe her personality. Can I see her Instagram? Let me look at how she wears her jewelry. Does she wear white metal or does she wear yellow metal? Like, what is, like, if you could describe her personality, what would it be? Is she simple? Is she minimalistic? Is she boho? Is she like, you know, wild and eccentric? Is she like modern and geometric? You know, so we kind of go through a series of questions to sort of come into that place. But I think that the story is really amazing and beautiful for like how they've come together. I think what helps me design wise more even than the story is just those personal touches that we can kind of weave in and incorporate to make it super unique to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it used to be that it was just the guy was like left to his own devices to go pick out a ring, which is really, really a very kind of antiquated idea now. I would say at least 50 to 70% of my clients design the ring together. So how I call this is a win-win, because she gets exactly what she wants. There's, you know, it's really hard for a guy to pick out an engagement ring and know something that is going to meet your style and your aesthetic and your taste when they just have no framework for design or jewelry, or it's probably the first piece of jewelry they've ever purchased. So when you do it together, it's a win-win. Like, she gets exactly what she wants, and all the pressure goes off of him, and he gets to give her exactly what she wants. So everyone's happy in the end, and they can still propose with a surprise proposal and keep that element a surprise. But then, you know, I mean, I will not lie, I have had girls that have gotten proposed to with a mall jewelry store ring, and they have come into my studio sobbing in tears. Can you fix this? Can you help me? And can you do something?
No.
And, you know, it's just like that part of it is kind of a thing of the past where, you know, you don't communicate and talk about the things that you love and want. And then it's just, you know, it makes it so much better when you get the ring of your dreams instead of them having to try to like fumble around and mess it up and figure it out on their own. Because if they go to the mall jewelry store, they are going to push the 4-prong solitaire with the, you know, like with a diamond halo. That's what they're going to give them because that's the popular thing. And, you know, that maybe is not her style, you know? And so I think that when you do it together, it gives you a much better opportunity to, number one, communicate needs to each other. And from the beginning, it's a really great point to start that. And
Great way to start a marriage.
it's a great way to start a marriage. And also for gift giving, you know, like, you don't have to like just imagine it, just ask. What do you want? What kind of ring do you want? Tell me, you know,
she'll draw it up for you.
Just ask. She'll have it. She'll have a bullet point list to give you. Just ask.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so real.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a shift in what modern couples are asking for when it comes to wedding and engagement jewelry, such as shapes, colors, anything?
I think a lot of shapes that were sort of shuffled off have kind of come back into people realizing that they're all beautiful. I think, you know, like, I think it was the oval for a long time, like only, you know, oval needed to be the stone and shape, which is classic. It's beautiful. I love creating oval rings. We still do a ton of those, but, you know, a stone like a marquise or, you know, a pear shape, or even like, you know, bringing in a classic like an emerald cut. So I think that now, because people are realizing that they have their own sort of design style and aesthetic, that there's so much beauty in all of the different shapes and colors. And it's just, you don't have to have what everyone else has. And I think that people are starting to feel more comfortable in that. So it does lend itself to a lot of creativity within the jewelry world, that you're not making the same piece over and over and over. It's not just a, stamping out the same looking ring. So yeah, I think that they're all beautiful in their own right, just shapes and colors and yeah.
There is a lot of conversation around lab grown versus natural diamonds right now. How do you approach that discussion with couples in a way that feels empowering rather than overwhelming? Also, what is your personal opinion?
Yeah, I think lab diamonds are super popular. They're a great price point. They're beautiful. They're the same chemical composition as a natural diamond. However, they are grown under high temperature and high pressure really rapidly, whereas a natural diamond, all it takes, thousands of years in the middle of the earth for it to kind of do the same thing. I think that it really depends on your budget and your price point, and then just, kind of your heart in the matter. If you want something that is going to be heirloom quality that you're going to pass down for generations to come, a natural diamond is a better investment, absolutely. But a lot of people right now, just based on couples are young and they're, the economy and different things, like they just don't necessarily have the budget for that kind of an investment into a natural diamond, where a lab diamond comes in. You can get a much larger stone for a much lower budget. And then you can always upgrade later in life for an anniversary piece or something like that if you wanted to incorporate a natural diamond into the repertoire of your jewelry. But, I think it's sentimental in that you've been wearing it and you were proposed to with it, and you can always pass that in, but a lab diamond is not going to hold its value the way a natural diamond is. So I like to make sure that people understand that and they're educated when they're making their decision. And no shame either direction. I think that they're all amazing and beautiful. And I also think that if you've got the budget for it, great, do a natural diamond. But if you don't, then don't go into debt for that reason, when you could do a lab diamond and have something equally as beautiful that would work well within your budget. And then maybe you go buy a house, or you need to get, you're having a baby, or you're doing these other things, that make more sense to kind of use the funds in a different way. So I think that it really just depends on the couple and what their intention is and what matters the most to them. So I like to try to explain that in a way that feels like, okay, you decide what works best for you. They're both beautiful. In the end, no one is going to be able to tell whether it's a lab diamond or a natural. They look the same. They really do. They look optically, they look identical. It's even really difficult for a gemologist to tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. They are optically, they're the same stone. Chemically, they're the same stone. So there's laser engraving on the side that differentiates it between a natural and a lab. And they have, really fancy high profile machines that can tell the difference, but just to the natural eye,
you can't tell.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I love that. What makes custom wedding jewelry such a different experience compared to purchasing something off of a shelf?
Well, I think that, you're participating in the design process. That's kind of like the number one. So you get to call the shots. You're like, oh, I want the stone to be this size, and I want it to be this ratio, and I want it to have these style of prongs and this type of setting and this sort of band. So I think it just kind of makes it super unique. And I think that when you go into sort of a mall jewelry store, you're working with a salesperson. You're not working with an artist or a craftsman. You're not working with someone that has extensive knowledge. They're just there to sell you something. So there's a very, very big difference in the education part of the process, but also in just sort of like the joy of creating with an artist and sort of having that very local kind of connection. It's a connection, right? You're having a connected moment in designing a piece of jewelry that you're going to be wearing instead of it just being transactional. It's more relational.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel like they're already, like, in a sense, pre-made.
Oh, sure.
There's only so many styles that you can choose from in a store.
That's right.
You kind of have your options. It's either this one, this one, or this one. And then when they come to someone like you, it's like, well, I like this stone, but I like this setting that it's saying. It's almost like build a ring, like build a hair, but
absolutely.
For rings,
it is absolutely build a ring for sure. We're building it all day long.
All day long. Like they get to put their own personal style into it, which is what you've been mentioning a lot in this interview. And I think that's so important for brides and anyone out there who's looking for custom jewelry, that this is something that they can do with their partner that they can create something that not only represents themselves, but represents a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's also a special time for them to come and do that together.
Yeah.
For brides who want to incorporate family stones, heirloom gold, or sentimental elements, what should they expect from that design process?
Yeah. So yes, we can definitely use family diamonds. We do that a lot because, you know, your style is different than your grandma's style was, but the diamond is still super important. The gold is, this one is a little bit tricky. So we can only recycle yellow gold, 14 or 18 karat yellow gold. White gold and platinum don't recycle well. They become very brittle and porous. So for people that have pieces that are set in those type of metals for heirloom pieces, we'll take those in as a credit, which we can apply to your project, but we can't actually recycle them into your new piece.
That's interesting. You take it as a credit.
Yeah, cool. So we'll take them as a credit, which helps offset the cost, which is really nice. You know, I'm not like one of the big buyback companies, you know, like advertising people, come in and sell me your gold. Like, it's not like that. But if you do have pieces that you're not wearing anymore and that you want to contribute to offsetting the cost, then we'll do it that way as well, which is kind of a fun thing that I guess a lot of people maybe don't know, but yeah. So, but as far as kind of like bringing in diamonds or stones, we'll take them in, we'll look at them, inspect them, make sure they're in good enough condition to be able to reset them. Yeah, so it's a really fun way to kind of bring in those kind of pieces into your design work.
Absolutely. How early in the wedding planning process should a couple start thinking about custom jewelry, especially if sustainability is a priority?
Yeah, for sure. For the engagement ring process, it is 6 to 8 weeks. Some projects take up to 10 weeks. It really just depends on the amount of detail that we're putting in. If we're custom cutting a diamond, if we're, you know, doing any kind of like unique sourcing, you know, things like that can really add into the production time. So always factor in, like if you've got a trip coming up and you want to propose, you really, really need to factor in at least 8 weeks for if you want a custom build for a ring. That's super important. And then for the wedding bands, it's a little bit easier because even if we're doing a custom set of wedding bands, a full custom set still is going to fall in that 6 to 8 week time period. But typically our wedding bands are around 4 weeks if we don't have a lot of customization involved in them. But yeah, you definitely need to pre-plan when you're doing the custom route, just because it does take time to create. I mean, we're not fast fashion. We're not fast anything. I mean, everything is a process, and we like to be intentional about it and create things that are going to last. And so, yeah, it's part of the process. And then we always have a running list of custom orders. So you kind of file in where you come into the process, and that just, it's like constantly, you know, ebbing and flowing.
When is the busiest season for you getting custom orders?
You know, this is actually a pretty busy season coming into spring proposals or pretty big spring weddings. So kind of
about that.
Yeah, right after Christmas. I think honestly, this is my theory, is that you've gone to spend the holidays together and you realize you can handle each other's families, and you're like, okay, let's do this. Let's get engaged.
What emotions do you hope a bride feels the moment she puts on her jewelry on her wedding day? Loved, like cherished, loved, adored, that she can see that in like the form of a ring on her hand. Just that connection, you know, that it's something tangible, like an intimate, tangible piece of love that is always with you, you know? Absolutely. Yeah. It's something she'll keep forever, and she'll know it's custom, it's hers.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so special. When you look back on the wedding pieces you've created over the years, what moments or stories have stayed with you the most? Good or bad?
Good or bad.
We can get a little juicy, or we can get sentimental, whatever route you want to take.
Yeah, that's, I mean, really, like what I look back on is just the journey that it's taken me to get to this point. Like, I think a lot of people look at the things that have happened in my career and they're like, oh, you're in Fashion Week, and, you know, you're in Paris and Milan, and you're all these things. And I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't see all of the years of blood, sweat, and tears before. This wasn't just like something that just happened. It wasn't just like a thing that I just started doing this, and then it was like, boom, like you're, you know, successful. It's like, you know, I mean, I started off in basically detached garage with no heat, no air conditioning. And, you know, I mean, I would literally get so hot when I was working. I would put a bowl of ice and a fan and wear a sweatband while I was at my bench working. Like that's, I mean, the level of where we started.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
We started at the, you know, because it was my passion and I was going to do it. I was going to find a way to always do what I loved to do, even though it wasn't necessarily, you know, very lucrative from the start, but it was my passion. It was what I loved. So it's just been like, you know, a journey through so many years of becoming what it is now. And I think that, you know, I'm just super grateful for I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for where I've been, where I am now. And, you know, I just love, that I still love what I'm doing. And, you're in the right place at the right time doing